So, you're watching The Pitch with Fox,
T-Ray,
and Mitch.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the 20th episode of The Pitch with Fox, B-Doms, and Mitch. B-Doms isn't here tonight, we're sorry to say that, but filling in for him, we have Thomas Richard Ray, the Green Bay Packer fan. Yep. Mitch, by the way, is the record champion, so sorry, Brian.
That's why he didn't show up.
Yeah, that's why he didn't.
No, it's too embarrassing.
No, we're just kidding. All right. So we'll start off this 20th episode with the Green Bay Packers, the champions of the NFL. Aaron Rodgers gets the MVP. Thoughts on this one, Mitch?
I think Aaron Rodgers really shined in this one. This Super Bowl was kind of weak. The first half was kind of weak, but Rodgers really tore it up in the second half. And Big Ben actually had a better completion percentage, but I think Aaron Rodgers was much more efficient. He had a passer rating of 111. He had 3 touchdowns, no picks. Big Ben, 2 picks. That was huge. But I think Aaron Rodgers really led that team in the second half, and he might be one of the best top 5 right now. I think that's what you got to say. Rashard Mendenhall had a big fumble in that game, and I think that really helped the Packers. Jordy Nelson,
yes.
9 catches, 140 yards. I think he should have got some MVP consideration, but I still would have given it to Aaron Rodgers. I think the defense really showed up. Pepra, a lot of the defenders, Clay Matthews, Charles Woodson, everybody, B.J. Raji. Steelers, they were missing something. I don't think they had the same kind of urgency, maybe because they've already won. A lot of those people already have rings. I think that's going to happen like something with the Lakers, too. You lose motivation after a while, but I think you saw that with the Steelers. You saw that with Big Ben. Too bad for Big Ben, really, because he was trying to make a legacy for himself.
Absolutely. Well, I think Aaron Rodgers showed up to play more than Big Ben. In the second half it was more Big Ben, but the first 2 interceptions definitely just threw away.
That was huge.
The whole game was thrown away. But Aaron Rodgers showed up for the first half, and that's why they scored a couple touchdowns early. 14-3 first quarter or something like that.
Yeah, it ran up to 21-3.
The Steelers had a good pass rush too. Aaron Rodgers did get sacked 3 times, but I think he evaded a lot of pressure too, and I think that was a big reason. Guys, they shut down Greg Jennings for the most part. They shut down Donald Driver, but like I said, Jordy Nelson stepped up. We talked a lot about James Jones, Andrew Corliss, but we never really talked about Jordy Nelson. But he had a great game, and I think that offense really shined. I think Starks had a pretty good game, and Brian was right. I think Rashard Mendenhall was an X factor. He didn't show up, and I think that was huge for the Packers. He actually had a huge fumble in that game, and like I said, I think the best team won.
Yeah, and I think the defensive MVP, Troy Polamalu, he didn't do that great at all.
No,
it seemed like he didn't do anything.
The best defensive player in the game,
I know.
apparently.
A couple passing touchdowns.
Yeah, you saw him in the other Super Bowl against the Cardinals. He really had a lot of intensity in that game. This game, I think that team was lacking intensity. I think you saw it from Big Ben. I think you even saw it from the coach. And I think losing Marquise Pouncey really didn't help. Steelers' offensive line looked weak. The whole team was missing something.
Oh, yeah. They finally showed up to play in the second half. It was just all Green Bay first half. Brian said something about Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown. They didn't come up. I was right with Hines Ward and Mike Wallace. Big Ben was trying to trust his guys, but unfortunately they didn't have enough guys. And I think Packers had more. Yep, they took way too many.
And Aaron Rodgers is better than Big Ben.
You had Aaron Rodgers who threw three touchdowns, 300+ yards, like we said. He had a 111 passer rating.
Yeah.
There's ridiculous MVPs in this one. There was a lot of choice around it. You could have had Jordy Nelson with 140 receiving yards, and you could have Greg Jennings.
Greg Jennings had
2 touchdowns and 60 yards. So.
I think
the yards were down for Greg Jennings, but Jordy Nelson went for him.
Starks did a really good job. He did a decent job filling a basically running backless Green Bay Packers team.
Yeah, and I did say that Aaron Rodgers had to be flawless in this game. He wasn't quite flawless, but he was very efficient. And I think Big Ben had to match Aaron Rodgers' intensity, which he didn't. He had a better completion percentage, but his passer rating was 40 points lower. That wasn't going to get it done. They shut down that running game, and if you have no running game and no quarterback, you're not going to win some of these games.
I think the turnovers also killed.
Turnovers were huge.
What was it, 4-0 or something?
Yep. And Packers, I said if Packers were going to win, they're going to have to come out early. They put a huge pressure on the Steelers, and they came up and they put the points on the board. Steelers, with their experience, came back a little bit, but unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers is better than we thought. Absolutely. He was putting some points on the board.
All right, so overall, do you guys think that this Super Bowl lived up to the hype, you know?
I think eventually it did, but, like, the first half was kind of weak. No matter, the Packers were serious, but Steelers, I didn't see much from the Steelers, and thank God for the second half.
Just like you said, though.
Halftime show was weak, too. Halftime show was weak. The commercials were weak. Everything was
Christina Aguilera?
Yeah, dressed up for the anthem.
Come on.
Yeah.
They tried to say that was a remix. I don't buy that.
I think from the last game when they were playing the Jets, they looked awful in the second half.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to happen all through the second game.
They scored, what, 24 points or 21 or something like that against the Jets, and they did not score for the rest of the game.
Both teams were first half teams, and Packers were the only ones who showed up in the first half, and that really was the reason for them winning.
Absolutely.
All right, Mitch, we'll start you off with this question to end this whole Super Bowl segment. Thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? Is he now in the elite class of quarterbacks?
I think you saw that last year with Drew Brees, and he kind of fell off a little bit more this year. But once you get a Super Bowl and a lot of people see you, I think you get a lot of notoriety, and I think that's what he really did this one. And unlike Drew Brees has a lot of help. Aaron Rodgers basically took this team and put him on his back. I think in a couple of years when Tom Brady and Peyton Manning leave, like I said, I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan's league. And he showed people that he's going to be in this league for a while. And Ted Thompson and the Green Bay Packers did the right thing letting Favre go and bring him back and keeping Aaron Rodgers. You know, I think he's the quarterback for a long time, and I think he's going to show people that he could be a top 5 quarterback for a while.
Well, if you ask me, I think he's been an elite quarterback.
True.
I think he needed that Super Bowl to prove that
he's top 4. I think right now you still got to put Peyton and Tom in the top 2, maybe Brees 3. But I think right there, Rodgers could be 4 ahead of Rivers. I think that this playoffs, all these games were on the road, and really he had to play another playoff game too against the Giants in the regular season. 5 playoff games, won them all. This guy made a name for himself, I think.
Clutch.
Very, very good this playoffs. You know, like he was always the shadow of Brett Favre. Like he needed something.
Yeah, he fell in the draft a long time and got picked in the 20s.
Absolutely.
He was a standing joke with Packers Nation for a couple of years. Is the backup for Brett Favre. You know, he came up, had nothing to lose, and showed people what he could do.
Now Brett Favre's been making a fool of himself.
And now he's the same amount of championships Brett Favre has.
Yep. All right. Now, moving on to other top stories, we actually have a lot of really good top stories this
Good week this week.
Ray Allen breaks Reggie Miller's all-time three-point record last night. Thoughts on that, Mitch? I
think that was awesome. Right in TNT, Reggie Miller was actually commentating that game. He gave Reggie Miller a big hug. He gave his mother a big hug. It couldn't happen to a better guy. This guy's one of the class acts in the Celtics. I think if I'm not a Celtics fan, I would hate Rajon Rondo, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. But I don't know how you can hate Ray Allen. The guy's just a great guy. Yeah. And I think Rajon Rondo did a great job trying to feed him. He was trying to get it off in the first quarter, which he did. And really, he's the greatest shooter ever. And Reggie Miller, he's actually played more games, but you know, Ray Allen's done it in a shorter time. He's just had a great career, Hall of Fame career. And he's really underrated, too, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the best shooters of all time. If not, I think he is the best shooter of all time.
He shows up to play every game.
He does.
Every game, like, I know he's sweating his balls off, you know, but, like...
You know,
he plays 30-plus minutes every game.
Yeah, sweat. Kevin Garnett, you see him, he's just drenched in sweat. This guy didn't go on for another 5 years. He doesn't look like he breaks his sweat the whole
20
time.
minutes and he's sweating in the first quarter.
Yeah, you know, this guy's had a long career, but, you know, he still looks like he's 20 years old. He can go out there for another 5 years or so. What a great underrated career.
He's gonna hold that three-point record
for a long time.
Because number 3 on the list is Jason Kidd with like 1,700.
Yeah.
Ray Allen. I mean,
oh my God.
It's not going to happen.
And people take for granted. He's playing with the Celtics. He's playing with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. If he's staying with a weaker team, this guy's stats could have even improved even more. Yep. So, I mean, that's just amazing to see what he's done. And like Phil Jackson said earlier this year, he thought there was going to be a decline for Ray Allen. He himself said there's no decline. I think he could play for another 5 years.
And like, even though they lost the game yesterday, I feel like
the Celtics looked like they were going to run away with it in the beginning, but they just fell apart.
But that was the story. I think the fans did great. I think the fans were great. They gave him a standing O. TNT gave him a little stoppage in the time to get a lot of fans' reaction. I think the Reggie Miller thing was great. Reggie Miller was a class act too. To be commentating, see your record broke, me number 2 instead of 1. I think to give him a hug and everything and wish him good luck, that was pretty cool.
Yep. I just kind of wish it was at the Garden. It doesn't really matter. But...
It was at the Garden.
Oh, was it at the Garden?
Yeah, it was at the Garden. Yeah.
But that's what was cool. Just so we had all the fans were cheering. I think it was a real cool game. But too bad we had to lose too. That was but
yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like I think both teams, no matter what, they'll be in the playoffs. You know.
Yeah.
The Lakers and the Celtics. You might see a rematch of the.
You know, one thing I didn't like was before the game they asked Kobe, "What do you think about Ray Allen's streak?" And he said, "Yeah, it's one thing. Me, Ray, and Steve Nash. We're the only people from that draft class still playing at an elite level." And that was it. That's all he said. He didn't say anything about threes for Ray Allen. But I think after he made the three, Kobe was the first one to go over there and shake his hand and say good job. So that was pretty cool too.
Yep. All right, moving on. We got a viewer question on Ray Allen. Josh from Concord, New Hampshire asks us, which team do you think Ray Allen will go to the Hall of Fame with?
That's a good question. And I wish it was the Celtics, but I think he was already a Hall of Fame player before he got to the Celtics. I'm going to go with Bucks. You know, he had a solid career there. He was a real young player, but that's really when he made a name for himself. I think he shined with the Bucks. And that's really when you saw his elite play, I think. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, he's played for the Bucks. He's played for
Sonics.
Yeah. And he's played for Celtics. You know, like it's hard to say which one he's going to go to the Hall of Fame for. I wish he could for all three. I wish he could go.
That'd be awesome if he went to the Hall of Fame with the Celtics because he won a championship.
Yeah, he did win a
championship. Yeah. But the only problem is, I think the thing that's going to hold him back from the Celtics is, I think he was already a Hall of Fame player coming in. You know, and I think Ray Allen's going to want to keep his career with the Celtics until he retires, which should be around 3 to 5 more years, which is going to be a big breaking point.
Then,
if he stays for another 5 years, I think he's going to be with the Celtics.
Absolutely.
If he's done within 2, which I doubt, I think he should go with the Bucks.
He's going to make that 3-point record just impossible.
It's going to be a great 3-point shootout too, because Paul Pierce he won it last year, and he said, "I want to face Ray in this 3-point championship, this 3-point shootout." He comes in. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Durant highlight the 3-point shootout. That's going to be good TV.
All right, moving on to our another top story. Johnny Malkin is possibly out for the season.
Huge.
Thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's huge. When I first saw this, I don't think Pittsburgh's a contender really anymore. You know, another guy who's still out, Sidney Crosby, who's still supposed to be out for 3 weeks. They're possibly saying that he is hopeful to come back by the season. That's not good news either, because Sidney Crosby, if he's out too. You know, that was what's the good thing about this team. They had 2 gunners. If one guy was falling a little bit in the game, if one guy was injured, the other guy could step up and be that team leader. If you have both those guys off the bench, I mean, I don't think Jordan Stahl's enough as at center position. Also, Chris Kunitz is out, one of their go-to scorers. This is bad news for Pittsburgh.
They're in big trouble.
I'd say they're in big trouble. I think that's the next question or whatever. But yeah. If getting Malkin, this guy is a great player. Sidney Crosby, we talked a lot about him. Obviously, he's a great player. If one of these guys go out, you know, they could be like a 5th, 6th seed. If both these guys go out, they're not a really contender in my opinion. And right now they're 4th in the East. I think they're pretty safe to be in the playoffs. But as far as a Stanley Cup contender goes, I don't think they're going to be there. And this is going to force Sidney Crosby to come back sooner rather than later. Something I wish he didn't do because he has a long career ahead of him. I think he should just wait till he gets back. Because frankly, without getting Malkin, I don't see him winning the cup.
Yeah, I feel like Sidney Crosby, he's going to have to come back when he's completely healthy.
Yeah.
Because normally with most players, if they come back before they're expected, they don't perform
Mark
as
Smart,
well.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm a Devils fan myself, but they're tanked right now.
Devils fan. You got to Kovalchuk.
They're very rivals, you know.
Yeah.
You might see some turnarounds during.
One thing good that they got going for them is they got a great goaltender in Fleury. They got solid defense in the tank, and they got one of my favorite coaches, Dan Bylsma, who I think if anybody could cheer their team around, I think it could be him. Jordan Stahl, he's going to have to show his leadership and step up more than just special teams. I think he's going to have to step up, be that top line center for a while. And hopefully Crosby can get back, and maybe they can still be a contender. But it's great news for the Bruins, great news for the Flyers, great news for the Caps, Montreal.
All right.
Tough.
Moving on to our final top story, which is a huge story.
Do we have time for this one?
Yes, we do.
All right.
We have about 2 minutes.
Beautiful.
There is a huge shooter in the Carmelo Anthony watch. Anthony may be teaming up with Kobe. And reigning with the L.A. Laker champions.
Yeah.
So. Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
For Andrew Bynum, straight up.
Kobe Bryant,
Lamar Odom.
Like,
Carmelo. Listen, they were going to get the most if they did that Derek Favors deal with the New Jersey Nets. It looks like that deal is going to fall through. And right now, there's rumors that it's just going to go to Lakers straight up for Andrew Bynum. If you're a Nuggets fan, you can't like that. But Andrew Bynum is a solid young player, and it's bad news for the Nuggets because I don't think they need to trade him now because he's going to leave in free agency. There's rumors that I'm not totally ruling out. I'm not going to stay with the Nuggets. I think he's gone from the Nuggets, so they're going to have to get something for him. And Andrew Bynum's a good young player, but as for the Lakers, the one thing that makes them good is their bigness. They're tall, they're lengthy. And that's why they won the last 2 championships. Losing Andrew Bynum's going to hurt, but when you can take Carmelo Anthony and Kobe in the wings, I think this makes you a better team. A lot of people say this could jeopardize their chances, but now Kobe Bryant's going to be single covered, Carmelo's going to be single covered. It's going to be like a Wade LeBron thing. It's going to be tough for opposing teams.
If they had a good point guard, who do they got?
Derek Fisher.
They got Derek Fisher. Like he's pretty good. He's especially good in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of doing what the Celtics have done. They're building up a franchise.
But this is going to open up. I think they're going to have to. If they make this move, they're going to move LeBron to the 4. They're going to be lose physicality. But Paul Gasol is going to open the floor up for him. He's going to shine. Melo's going to shine now. Kobe's going to be left single cover, which is going to be deadly. I think this makes the Lakers a better team, and I think this ups Melo's stock because I don't think the Lakers are going to pay him long term, but. Right now, he's going to get a lot of TV time. I think it's going to up his stock, and I think he's going to get a big paycheck coming this summer.
I have no idea where they get the money.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how that's going to work out. But Mitch Kupchak, one of the best GMs in basketball, I think you can make it work.
All right, that is all we have for top stories, but we have much more coming on the way. We have NBA, we have MLB. So stay tuned, you guys, all right? We'll see you in a few.